So I became an engaged parent of a child with a disability with a vision for her future because of training that was offered for parents around special education. I received that training before my daughter started school, all about the positive outcomes for children with disabilities when they're included in kindergarten. So I knew how to advocate for and partner with our local school district to develop her IEP or individual education program, which really helped us to develop those high expectations and rigorous goals for her, really starting from a young age. We moved to a new city, and when I needed guidance from moving to a new city and a new school district, I reached out to CODSN for support to learn how to share my voice and concerns with our local folks that I had about her implementation of her IEP. CODSN was able to come alongside of me and help me share my voice and become a collaborative partner with our school district and to help create solutions. That was almost 10 years ago. Today, my daughter is a hardworking high school student. She's working towards a diploma. She's pursuing classes related to her interests for future jobs. She's fully included in her high school community. She navigates her school with confidence and independence, and she's learning how to advocate for herself. And she's thriving on her school's cheer team. She has meaningful, close relationships with her peers. And none of that would have been possible without the training that I received and learning from other parents ahead of us on the journey. It's because of family networks and parent centers that we're here where we are today. And that's why I decided to start working for CODSN. I wanted to be able to support other parents to dream big and become collaborative advocates for their kids. I don't really want to imagine a future where these organizations and resources aren't available to families. The CPRC, or Community Parent Resource Center grant, funded under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as IDEA, has been the foundation for all of the special education support and services that CODSN has provided since 2021 to families, youth, and our community partners, including schools and educators. Through this grant, CODSN has been able to offer a wide range of services at no cost to families. These include practical tools like binders to help families organize their child's special education paperwork, timely updates and resources from partner organizations, and accessible parent-friendly trainings that support both families and educators in navigating the special education system. We've also provided individualized one-on-one support to families, helping them to understand their rights, navigate their child's individualized education program, and make informed decisions. This kind of ongoing support often reduces the need for due process and formal complaints, which can be both time-consuming and costly for families and school districts. In short, our work not only empowers families, but also helps reduce strain on the system. Beyond direct services, CODSN staff actively participate in policy and systems level work to ensure that families raising children with disabilities have a seat at the table. This includes participation in state and local councils and bodies, which allow us to collaborate closely with the state education agency and contribute efforts aimed at improving outcomes for students with disabilities. The support we provide helps families move beyond immediate challenges to develop a vision for their child's future, one grounded in high expectations and the belief that children with disabilities deserve full access to meaningful opportunities. We've been able to help families understand and advocate for everything IDEA is designed to promote. Through this work, CODSN was able to ensure that every family could support their child's success in school, in the community, and in life. This is especially impactful to bridge the gap present for our rural families and systems that ensure those families, especially in isolated communities, have access to special education support. It's helped ensure that all families have the knowledge and tools they need to advocate for a free and appropriate public education for their children. Ultimately, one of the main purposes of IDEA is to prepare children with disabilities for life after school, which includes further education, independent living, and competitive employment. CODSN's work supports families to help make that future a reality for their kids as they become adults and members of their communities. As a parent, watching my daughter have the opportunity to develop a bright vision for her own future because she's had access to services and support has been incredible to watch, and I really want that opportunity for every family.
When I went into this and found out my daughter's diagnoses, I didn't know, anything about it. I mean, I got a report that said all these things and you need to do these things in order for her to be successful, but I didn't know the things to do. Like, I got in connection with CODSN all through the process, and they helped us get through evaluations, issues that cropped up. They explained everything a lot better to me. I used to be a teacher, but I didn't really know, like, how special education, like, how the kids are and how to deal with issues that may arise with that. Yesterday was her first day, and she was just so happy. And it was nice seeing that because, and I didn't know what to do. And CODSN has been there for us. I think the only reason I am successful in helping my daughter in school is because of CODSN. If CODSN special education went away, I would be like lost in the ocean with no raft. I mean, we wouldn't even have had her IEP. She wouldn't be able to go to school. She wouldn't get an education. She wouldn't be able to get a job. Like, it's like a domino effect.
We've used CODSN for a lot of different things, but specific to special education, I'd say the transition to kindergarten was huge. She had gone from an inclusive preschool setting through early intervention, where she was just one of maybe 20 students. And as we were transitioning to kindergarten, I was, as a parent, very, very, very nervous because she is very vulnerable. She's physically small. She doesn't speak. She uses a wheelchair as she's learning to walk. She eats by G-tube. So she has a lot of medical complexities and different disabilities that she's navigating. And it was such a different experience than my older son that I was sort of freaking out. And so I called CODSN. I signed up for the kindergarten training, which eased my fears immensely, just to get insight and instruction on things I could do during the IEP process. I think it helped set up a really good working relationship with her school, and I can say that we have had an incredible working relationship going forward. She's a second grader now. I'm over a lot of my worries, but I worry that if this funding is pulled, if this grant money isn't returned, that when she transitions to middle school or high school or after high school, who will I go to help me navigate that? So.
It's about 8 years ago, I ended up experiencing a permanent spine injury with peripheral nerve damage. And it was just a really difficult spot, and I didn't know where to turn. And when I was directed towards Central Oregon Disability Support Network, I found community. But not only that, I was given a place to find my voice and share my story and have that experience be meaningful and helpful in educating other people about the experiences of those who experience disability. And to have this organization go away, I think is going to take away voices, access, education, and a lifeline of support to so many individuals in our community, myself included. Because if it had not been here, if I had not been afforded the opportunities to be a partner in educating and in sharing my story, I don't know that I would have gotten to the point that I am today of being able to give back in civil service and in policymaking. It's educated me. It's made me a whole person again, because part of what happens when you experience chronic injury, chronic pain, is it doesn't just affect your physical body. It doesn't just affect your social experience in the world, your career. It also affects your mental health. Pain exacerbates depression. It exacerbates anxiety. And for me, it made the world a very scary place. And being able to use my voice let me use that pain as an empowerment and not as an impediment. And so having the ability to utilize these services, I know how much it has meant just to me and my survival and now my success, that having that taken away from so many in our community would just be absolutely heartbreaking and devastating.
Well, at first, we came to CODSN just for an epilepsy support group in the evening, but then as things developed with my daughter, then I came to CODSN to ask for help with an upcoming IEP. And I remember getting information from them, like a really nice packet, knowing that we have the resource of CODSN in Central Oregon made was empowering. Um, and I will say that when your child is diagnosed with a disability and if it's not something that they're born with, it does come as kind of a surprise, and there's a sense of panic, like what do I do? How do I help my kid in the best way possible? And knowing that we have CODSN as this resource, I just knew that I could go to them for any questions and anything that comes up with her disability. If CODSN were to not be an available resource for us, um, I don't know who we would turn to for the extra support that they provide.
So when our 8-year-old, when we realized that he wasn't learning and there really was like a 2-year academic regression from when he started kindergarten, we were at a loss of what to do. And we have really caring teachers and a wonderful school, and altogether we couldn't figure it out. So I met with CODSN staff. We went through all of our son's IEPs over the years, line by line, and they really helped me understand what special education laws were, how the system worked, what we could ask for as parents, and what those next steps could be for us. So they came with us to IEPs, and they built a roadmap and made sure we didn't feel lost. CODSN has been a real bridge for us. So they've bridged us as parents with our school. They've bridged frustrations with solutions. And without that, I think that our schools lose partners, we lose advocates, and our kids don't get the learning that they need.
Special education is really complicated. And we got to a place where I was trying to understand the system and navigate the system, and my son wasn't getting what he needed. And I didn't know who to ask or how to ask or all the special words to use. And so CODSN hosts trainings and brings in speakers and does all these things to understand the system as a whole. And then when you get into the system and you're like, I don't understand this, I'm stuck, I'm not making progress, you can contact CODSN and someone can talk you through it or point you in the right direction. And that is so useful. I've used it many, many times. I've been navigating the system for like 17 years now, and I still reached out last week to ask 2 questions. So like, it doesn't stop being useful just because you've used it. I think one of the things that CODSN does really well is help make it not so combative when you go into a meeting and you are emotionally invested and you think that something's going wrong and it's really important. Their special education support is invaluable, but also they can connect families with each other, which is something that other entities can't necessarily do, and that's incredibly valuable also.
I had a bit of a unique situation where both of my kids, they are 4 and 3, they both were diagnosed with autism within 2 to 3 months of each other. And the first resource that was given to me from the pedal clinic was Central Oregon Disability Network. And you guys have just opened up first off, the feeling of being normal and that it's okay. And just because we have kids with the title of disability, so to speak, they don't deserve the best and don't deserve the world. And you guys have been able to show that to me. And then the trainings that has been at my fingertips. And so learning how to navigate that as parents has been incomparable as far as the resources that have been given in the classes and different things like that. Let's say that this program were to, heaven forbid, disappear. For me, it is hard to put into words, but it almost feels like the rug got pulled out from underneath me. Or like I had all of these people in, say, a big fancy cruise ship, and then I was the only one left on the boat, and everyone else just went away, and I felt deserted. That's really what it comes down to for me, because one thing I have learned through the past 2 or 3 years now, that since these diagnoses have come to light for me and my husband, is that you absolutely have to have support, and that you cannot do this journey alone, nor should you. And that's exactly what it would feel like, is that I all of a sudden would be alone.
Well, we reached out to CODSN fairly early when we found out that our son was going to have Down syndrome. Once our son was elementary school age, we got the education binder it's been invaluable and helped us make a lot of the decisions we've made for our son's education. Central Oregon Disability Support Network has been a great organization. My kids like going to the events. We borrowed we borrowed some books and stuff to get more information from them, and they're just generally nice people. So it's a shame that money's going away. Well, I mean, I think it would be devastating because, not only is it going to affect, the choices that I make moving forward with our son, there are other people that are going to be affected that were in the same situation I was, and that's unfortunate.
The CODSN has helped us navigate a very difficult special education system. This is new for us as parents navigating, and we engaged in kindergarten, and our advocate has been amazing, helping us in a very difficult, complex system that we otherwise would have been completely lost without her. I think that if CODSN and the support for special education advocates and families were to go away, that would leave such a huge gap in the momentum and the awareness. Also, just the conversation and the way that schools and teams are able to talk about it. There's such a vital presence in those meetings that there would be such an immediate gap in those conversations. I was thinking about, I've heard these statistics that special education students have some of the lowest graduation rates. And I worry about graduation rates, whether that's immediate or in the future for the kiddos that are being these early interventions now. And I've also read a lot about these correlations so then if you have graduation dropout rates, what does that mean for crime and addiction and incarceration? And I feel like these positive early interventions affect the individual's trajectory, their life, but also immediately being able to stabilize that person and that family, as well as these lifelong benefits. So not only would losing CODSN support now be harmful, I think that it would have a big impact on these lives in the future and relatedly our communities. CODSN also serves the 8 rural counties, and while we might have access in Deschutes County to other services, I worry about some of those rural communities or people who live further out or maybe don't have access to other services. I don't know what I would do immediately. I think our advocate is irreplaceable, but I do worry about those other families, and as it relates to those, students and families and communities that are even further out that may have less access to resources.